Today, we're going to dig into a really serious question. What happens when your own government follows you online? We're going to explore the massive risks Iranians face for their social media activity, and it's all based on an official report from the UK Home Office. It paints a pretty startling picture of surveillance that stretches way beyond Iran's own borders.
So let's just start with a question that might sound kind of absurd. Could a simple like or a share actually get you arrested? For most of us, that's just unthinkable, right? But as we're about to see, for Iranians, whether they're in Tehran or London, the answer is terrifyingly different.
So how does an ordinary post become a protest in the eyes of the state? Let's break down how an everyday digital act can suddenly be seen as a serious crime.
On one side, you've got what social media is for most of us, sharing things, connecting with people. But on the other side, you see the Iranian state's perspective. That exact same post, if it's seen as critical, isn't just expression. It's a potential crime. It's a completely different reality.
And the consequences are absolutely chilling. The report details how online activity can lead to harassment, arrest, and even torture. People are charged with these really vague offenses like propaganda against the system or insulting the supreme leader. And for something as ambiguous as violating public morality, the state can even impose the death penalty.
So who's doing all this monitoring? Well, it's not just some small group of censors. We're talking about a massive surveillance state, and we're about to see just how deep it really goes.
Yeah, this isn't the work of just one agency. It's a whole network. You have the incredibly powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, with its own cybercrime division. You've got Fatah, the cyber police, which handles so-called moral offenses. And on top of that, there are other centers and even volunteer groups, all watching for anything they consider a threat.
Just look at this number, 42,000. That's how many volunteer collaborators the cyber police, FATIA, reportedly have. I mean, think about that for a second. This isn't a small government team. It's a vast, sprawling network of citizens enlisted to police each other online. It's a system designed to have eyes absolutely everywhere.
The methods they use are also highly sophisticated. One of the key tactics is something called social engineering, which is essentially a psychological hack. It's not about breaking code, it's about breaking a person's trust to get them to reveal sensitive information.
And here's their playbook. State-sponsored groups like one called APT42, which is linked to the IRGC, will pose as someone you trust, like a journalist or an academic. They build a relationship, they earn your confidence, and then they send a personalized deceptive link. And really, that's all it takes. One click can be enough to hand over the keys to your entire digital life.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the contradiction at the very heart of the state's approach. To get around all the government blocks on sites like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, the majority of Iranians use VPNs. The report even notes that top officials use them, and yet the state has criminalized the unlicensed use of these very tools, all to tighten its grip on the flow of information.
But this surveillance doesn't just stop at Iran's borders. Oh no, the regime's reach is truly global. And that's where the danger gets even more complicated for Iranians who are living abroad.
This is where the concept of surplace activity becomes so critical. The term just refers to things an Iranian might do while living abroad. Posting something critical online or attending an anti-regime protest. These actions, even though they're taken on foreign soil, can create a very real risk of persecution if they ever return to Iran. And this is not just some hypothetical risk. The threat is very, very real, and the numbers here prove it. In just 1 year, UK authorities stopped 15 plots by Iran to either kidnap or kill people on British soil. Globally, we're talking about dozens of documented plots and surveillance operations against dissidents. This is happening right now. And maybe the most cruel tactic is what experts call proxy punishment. This quote gets right to the heart of it. If the regime can't reach an activist abroad, they go after their family back in Iran. Can you imagine getting a call that agents just visited your parents? It's a terrifyingly effective way to silence people, trapping them in an impossible choice. This all raises a crucial question for legal systems in countries like the UK. How do you assess the actual risk for an Iranian who has been active online while living abroad? It's not a simple yes or no answer.
So in the UK legal system, they don't just assume everyone is at risk. Instead, each case is judged individually. They use a very specific set of guidelines, developed from past landmark cases, to try and figure out who is in genuine danger. So what exactly are they looking for? Well, it comes down to a few key things. They analyze a person's social graph, who they're connected to. They evaluate their online profile and whether they were likely a target for surveillance already. And critically,
They look at what happens when that person hits a pinch point.
A pinch point is a moment when the Iranian authorities are very likely to run checks on you. A perfect example is when an Iranian national living abroad applies for an emergency travel document at an embassy. That application provides the perfect opportunity for officials to conduct some basic internet searches, and that could potentially uncover years of online activity.
All of this brings us to the core takeaway from this entire report: the blurring of lines between the digital world and very real physical danger.
So here's the bottom line. In our digital world, a physical border means less than ever. For Iranians who criticize the regime, there's really no hiding place. Their government's reach, its surveillance, and its threats can follow them anywhere on the globe.
And that leaves us with a final, unsettling question to think about. When your government can monitor your digital life across continents and punish you or your family for it, where exactly can you go to be safe?